r/AskReddit. Former prisoners of Reddit, what is something that no one seems to know about prison life? The worst part about it is how painfully boring it is. I indirectly know someone who was in a UK prison for white collar crimes, fraud. He never felt scared or threatened. Just bored. There was very little violence or intimidation going on even though it was a category C prison. My English professor told a story a few weeks ago about how his first teaching job was at a prison. He said it was the only job he's ever had where the students asked for more homework. I think he said he only taught there on Tuesdays, and he'd assign homework to last them the week, and they'd be done with it by Thursday. Prison system summed up. Locked in with a bunch of delinquents that you would be forced to associate with so that you can be reformed for society. Bunking with a stupid motherfucker that jerks off at least 3 times a night and the whole goddamn bunk rattles the whole time. If you can't beat him, join him. Sounds like camping with my father. Fuck. And one who farts when he thinks everyone is asleep and I'm underneath just gagging. Sadly he was also a bedjacker. Save that shit for the showers. I don't know about these days, but back when I was in prison, it was dull. We watched TV, chat, eat, sleep, play cards. Too much time on our hands. Even the guards would join us for card games or to watch TV with us. Isn't it an opportunity to pick up some new skills? You can teach yourself anything. Say math is not that demanding. You just need books and some free time. Good SAT allows you to get to a good uni right away, thus reducing the negative impact the prison might have on your resume. 99.9% of the sex is consensual. More like consensual. Whoa, you mean no drop and pick up the soap? I spent a short amount of time in a young offenders institution, UK, when I was 20. Nobody told me everyone showers with their boxer shorts on. Day 1 I walk into the showers naked and was faced with 10 very confused young men wondering why the new guy had his pecker out. Day 1, I knowingly asserted prison dominance today. So did you just roll with it? I would just be like, hey guys, and then stroll up and start washing. Seriously though, I'm a Reddit user, I would have done no such thing. That it's possible to go years without a hug. Or any physical contact for that matter. It wears on your psyche. So it's like being a fat kid in high school with parents that don't love him and no internet connection. Served 30 months in Florida at age 18. Food was terrible. Boredom is mind-numbing. The feeling that the world is leaving you behind is quite painful. Perhaps the worst of it though is the stigma associated with being a convicted felon. I have been turned down twice for jobs in the last month I am capable of excelling at specifically because felony convictions. Former Space Coast area machinist now living in oil country Louisiana. Problem is, I am totally honest with them and the convictions are 25 years old. I work at a fiberglass factory where most of the workers are felons. It's really surprising to see just how many there are. Prisoners get fat B-seat bare food is pure processed crapola. Now I'm not sure where you are from, but I'm from Canada and the cost of meals per day for one prisoner is allowed to reach $18. People in elderly home have meals based on a $5 limit. It sucks that you're fed crap, though. If you look at the guards as your butler it makes life more enjoyable in there. Call them Jeeves. I mean they get your mail. Bring you your meals. Also the tabletop RPG games can be very good. You had access to those? What games did you play? I'm imagining a lot of very large angry inmates in orange jumpsuits and wizard hats rolling 20-sided die. It's exactly like that, and I refuse to believe otherwise. That we can make full meals out of ramen and various store kitchen ingredients. Ramen pizza, ramen burritos, ramen sandwiches. You name it. Let's hear a recipe. You know, just in case. The spreads. Sometimes I'll get a sudden craving for ramen and then while I'm eating it I remember why I hated prison so much. Fuck ramen spreads. LMAO. I swore I'd never eat ramen in the free worlds. Here I am, eating ramen. Sigh. It's a habit. The walls. They're a funny thing. First you hate M, then you get used to M. Enough time passes, you get so you depend on them. I'm so sorry. When I first saw you niggle I didn't think much of him. Thought a stiff wind could blow him over. Gruel sandwiches. Gruel omelets. Nothing but gruel. Plus, you can eat your own hair. Prison Mike. What's the very, very worst thing about prison? Getting caught masturbating sucks. I got caught masturbating in jail 7 or 8 times. It really sucks. So this is the guy on the top bunk. How much stuff changes on the outside? Like what happened to Legos, man? They used to be so simple. There was a guy at my facility who was locked up when the Doritos Locos came out. He'd talk about them constantly and ask every officer if he's tried them. I want to assume when he got released his ride brought some. You miss things that you don't think about on a day-to-day basis. Things that you take for granted. 27 months in military and US federal prisons, and the two things I looked forward to the most was turning a light switch on and off and walking barefoot on carpet. I was a prison guard and I was always surprised by the level of power and wealth in prison. Outside, an important, powerful man has lots of money, expensive drugs and women. While there are drugs in prison, they are rare. So a powerful, wealthy inmate has an abundance of Little Debbie cakes, Twinkies and porno mags. I'm just picturing Bernie Madoff sitting on his bunk, eating Nuttabers, laughing merrily and clapping his hands while watching the other inmates perform a puppet show, each one trying so hard to win his approval for an oatmeal cream pie. Edit. Gold. Whoa. Thank you, kind person. Some things folks don't seem to know about prison. There are other things that could go on the list, but there is one that people really don't seem to know that is important enough to warrant a standalone statement. The overwhelming majority of people in prison are coming out and will need some acceptance and help if they are not to return to prison. Source: sentenced to 32 years, served 6 years in maximum security, followed by 3 years in medium minimum security, followed by 5 years supervised parole. I have been crime-free and out of prison for 32 years since release. I learned that men are dirty as fuck, and that even the most unacceptable things on the outside are pursued and even flaunted on the inside. Just for an example, and trust me, there are thousands of variants of this example, imagine the 5 hardest, meaning-looking white guys you can think of, with tattoos all over their heads, necks, and bodies. Some of whom, you know for a fact, have killed a couple guys while being locked up there. They walk around with power, respect, they run the peckerwoods and are very intimidating. Then imagine a 6th man, a normal white guy. This said normal white guy is giving oral and anal sex to all the 5 baddest white dudes. And like, they flaunt it. In fact, I know for sure that even the 5 dudes returned the favor with their own mouths and booty holes to the same dude. No shame whatsoever. And also imagine drugs. Like you've surely read in this thread so far, a lot of the shitty part of being locked up is the boredom. Because of this, many dope fiends return to their trade, and many more try drugs and become fiends during their stint, out of boredom and the thrill it gives them. So check it out. I remember a while ago this dude I knew came back from a work detail, chain gang type shit. I live in Arizona. This dude found a still bagged up, supposedly unused syringe out in the desert while picking up trash and shit, and managed to put it in his prison wallet aka arsehole and smuggle it back in. If you're familiar with prison life, then you are aware of the huge economy that goes in there, revolving around money and food, candies, toiletries for trade. They are treated as cash money. So this dude cracks up a huge smile and tells me I'm gonna charge $1 per use to anyone in here that wants to use this. I shit you not, he had on a slow day 5 people hit him up. On a typical day, 10-15 people. And quite a few days so many dirty motherfuckers were hitting him up for that needle that he had to keep a backlog list so the people fairly got the rig when they should because they asked before this guy, etc. I seen 3 dudes, 1 white, 1 black, 1 Mexican, supposed rivals, cram their fat asses into a toilet stall purposely built to only house 1 man, for this exact reason, and fucking shoot up. Yeah, I'm talking one guy shoves that in his arm, shoots up, and without cleaning it or anything, the other guy grabs it like it's nothing, shoots up right away, etc. This went on for a long time. Hundreds of dudes using the same needle, not ever sterilized, and simply just no one gave a fuck. I also seen a dude in the same kind of bathroom stalls. I noticed him one day after his legs were sticking out of the doors. He was a big guy, 6'3" at least, overweight, etc. for hours. Finally a guard walks by, and they put everyone on lockdown right away. I guess he had managed to hang himself with some string material he fabricated and made very strong. Poor dude just lay there, dead as fuck, for hours, and no one did a thing, said a thing, and I doubt anyone cared. It's a fucked up world out there. Raise your kids right. Edit spelling. Female ex-prisoner here. How freaking sad and isolating it is. One of my cellmates was told her husband died a few weeks before I paroled. She was in for a probation violation. She didn't really have anyone but her husband, and when they asked her if she wanted to make any phone calls, she broke down. There was no one left. I remember us all sitting with her trying to be there for her. It was so sudden and so tragic. I found out I was pregnant while in prison and later gave birth there as well. All family was over 12 hours away. I had family that was allowed to be present during labor, but that just wasn't an option because of the distance. I spent 2 days with my daughter and then received a picture once I went back to prison. No posting on Facebook, no phone calls, nothing pretty much. Very lonely. It's been 5 years since the day I was arrested and then later incarcerated. I have a beautiful family. My daughter has been with me since I got out, and I am currently an engineering student. Life is so fulfilling. There are not many days I reflect upon this time, but I figured I would throw my 2 cents in. Edit. Changed spent to spent because my phone is in a shat. Update. For those who asked, I was fortunate to have my mother pick up my daughter from the hospital and care for her until I paroled, exactly 28 days after I left the hospital. Yes, I counted the days. Jail's fun, it's got great dope and all your friends are there. That your prison sentence is not really over when you leave jail. It never ends. You're still in jail even when you're walking around out on the street. Let me lay out what I mean. You got out. Yay. Did your 5, paid your debt to society, still young. You've got time to turn it around, be a citizen again. So you try to get a job, but you can't cause you're a con. Even something as simple as the loading dock at Sears won't hire you, because they've got that little box on the application asking have you ever been convicted of a criminal offense. Now they're not allowed to discriminate because of that, of course. It's just some unknown mysterious reason that you're no longer a suitable candidate. You try that 50 or 60 times before you figure out that you don't get to work anywhere except convenience stores or fast food. Okay, if that's what I gotta do for now, that's what I gotta do. So you get a job at Max Milk, but you can't get enough hours to make rent and eat, so you're gonna need another job. 8. So now you're working 2 jobs at Max and Subway, commuting 45 minutes by bus between them every day cause you can't afford a car, finally making enough to at least cover rent and food, but you work all the time and have no life. But that's okay, you're trying to re-establish yourself. So you do that for a few years and finally manage to save up enough to go to college and improve yourself. That's what you're told, right? Go to school, get an education. That's how you move up in the world. You did all that work while you were inside getting your high school diploma, so the next step is college. You're in your mid-20s now, so time to get cracking. So you go to college. You work real hard and you come out with your diploma. Not the top of the class by any means, but solid. Now you'll be employable, right? Except you gotta get rid of this conviction. It's dragging you down like a lead anchor. But it's been like 7 years since you got out, and 5 since your probation ended, so you should be able to be pardoned now. So you apply for a pardon. Denied. Not eligible. Why? Cause you committed a youth offense. Pardons are only applicable to adult offenses. Okay, how do I get rid of a youth record? Don't worry, youth records are sealed at 18, you're good to go. You contact RCMP Purge Services, they tell you you're clear. You get fingerprinted by the commissioners, they tell you you're clear. So you start applying for work in your chosen field, medical data management. You work with sensitive data, but no worries, your record is sealed, you can clear a background check now. Checking the no box beside the have you ever been convicted question is the best feeling you've had in 10 years. Short-lived. Your application comes back rejected. You lied. You do have a criminal record, and we now want nothing to do with you. Time to go back to our CMP purge services who claim to have no record of you. Time to track down the original PD that caught your case to find out they only keep records for 5 years and your case files were destroyed before you even got out of prison. Time to contact a civil rights attorney and spend the next 7 years and every cent you've saved trying to clear your record, working 2 minimum wage retail jobs the whole time, only to be told that there is no out, nothing to be done, and that no matter what you do, for the rest of your life in this country, you will always be a criminal. Forever. If you live to be 85, you'll still be held down by something you did when you were 15. You want to know the real secret about jail that no one knows? It's that we never get out. Once you've committed a crime, society doesn't fucking want you back. They want you to stay a criminal. And at the end, you're left with 2 choices. Work for the rest of your life in minimum wage slavery until you die with nothing, or go back to dealing drugs, make some money and maybe be able to get some fucking respect from your peers. That's the most exhausting part, having to live and work with people who treat you like a fucking animal. Like you're shit. Not for weeks, or months or years, but for fucking decades. And when you look forward into the future, that's all you can see, all the way down the line, forever. People wonder why we have a problem with recidivism in this country, but once you go through the system, you realize very quickly why that is. It's because of all the hidden parts of your sentence. Your sentence isn't 5 years for trafficking. Your sentence is life. A life of servitude, abuse and harassment. In the face of that, why wouldn't you go back to crime? Solzhenitsyn said you only have power over people as long as you don't take everything away from them. But when you've robbed a man of everything, he's no longer in your power. He's free again. For me and the other men who have lived through this shit, we've been robbed of everything. We have no incentive not to go back to crime. The fuck are you gonna do? Lock us up again? We're already there. But hey, you know, this is all hypothetical of course. This isn't the story of my life. I'm not bitter or exhausted or enraged or anything. Not at fucking all. You think you know what boredom is? No you don't unless you have been locked up. I was so bored I tried to go asleep at 4 PM just to make day go past faster.